So let's proceed to the two important approaches to observation. Participant observation. A key characteristic of participant observation is that the researcher gathers data by participating in the daily life of the group or organization under study. This enables the researcher to learn about the activities of the group under study in a natural setting from an insider's point of view through observing and participating in these activities. It may be narrowly identified as participation in the way of life of the social group under study combined with observing what is going on. The participatory aspect of participant observation. First is the pure observation. This seeks to remove the researcher from the observed actions and behavior. The researcher is never directly involved in the actions and behavior of the group under study. While the next one is the pure participation, in which has been described as going native. The researcher becomes so involved with the group under study that eventually every objectivity and research interest is lost. The distinctive feature of participant observation is that the researcher participates in the social group under study. The highest degree of participation occurs with complete participation. In this case, the researcher lives or works with the subjects under study and tends to assume a pre-established role, for instance, the role of a co-worker. In complete participation, the researcher may conceal that she is an observer, behaving as naturally as possible and seeking to become an accepted member of the social group. This technique assures close intimacy with the subjects. The researcher interacts with the subjects and also carries out their activities. While it has a disadvantage, first, it may limit freedom of movement outside the adopted role. It is difficult to abandon the role of complete participant as the research proceeds. Next is that the methodological problem of going native may result in a fading research perspective and an increased likelihood of biased research findings. While the next one is the moderate participation. In many situations, observational studies are based on the researcher assumes an intermediate position between being a complete insider or a complete participant and being a complete outsider, as in non-participation observational studies. The researcher observes the scene under study, maintaining a certain distance from it and never intervening. Moderate participation usually use shadowing. Shadowing implies that the researcher closely follows a subject, for instance, a manager or a Wall Street broker engaged in his or her daily routine. Typical examples of passive participation are observations conducted in service consumption settings, such as in a lecture room, a theater, a waiting room, or a theme park. While the last one is the active participation. The researcher is not satisfied with the role of the bystander. In this case, the researcher does not conceal that she is an observer, but explains the fact that she is an observer to the social group under study right from the start. The goal of active participation is not to become like the subjects and to immerse in their activities, but to carry out certain activities and hence to acquire a better understanding of their practices. A question may arise to the researcher. As to what extent should I participate? The extent to which the researcher participates depends on a range of factors. For instance, it may be determined by the researcher's questions, ethical considerations, methodological considerations, but also by more practical factors, such as by how much the researcher feels happy about participating, or by the extent to which either contextual factors or the members of the group under study are willing to let the researcher participate. The observation aspect of participant observation. There are several issues that must be addressed in participant observation. First is choosing a site, such as a specific department, business unit, plant, supermarket, and so on. Second is gaining permission. Third, is the selection of key informants. Fourth, familiarizing oneself with the research setting. Becoming an accepted member of the social group under study is the next, in which sponsor, who is a group member who is willing to introduce you to the group, to vouch for you, and to explain your presence to the other group members. An essential aspect of participant observation is establishing rapport. Establishing rapport involves establishing a trusting relationship with the social group under study by showing respect, being truthful, and showing commitment to the well-being of the group or the individual members of the group so that they feel secure in sharing sensitive information with the researcher. An example is on deviants and professional stranger handlers. Agar suggests that the researcher be careful to accept the first people she encounters as key informants, since they are often either deviants or professional stranger handlers. Deviants are members who are on the boundaries of the group in some low-status position. Association with deviants may alienate the researcher from the rest of the group and provide the researcher with a flawed view on the social group under study. Professional stranger handlers are persons who take it upon themselves to check out the new person and what it is their person is after. They can quickly improvise some information that satisfies her without representing anything potentially harmful to the group.